Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this happens to arrive in your moment of now, we are going to pull a card and go from there. I hope you had a pleasant dreamscape. I got to wake up, I had all my alarms turned off, and I woke up when my body naturally signaled, okay, done sleeping. Felt really good. Hold on. 3 cards. No, 4 cards. Communication, 14, breaks down to a 5. Synergy, 41, breaks down to a 5. Honesty, 23, breaks down to a 5. Followed by Tantric Journey, 42, breaks down to a 6. Okay, 555, red, mother, maiden, crone energy, communication, synergy, honesty, Tantric Journey. Bottom of the deck, union, 44, breaks down to an 8. Top of the deck is empowerment, 26, breaks down to a 8. All right. Communication is energy to the throat. Also, your heart and your throat. The first part in a newborn baby, when it's in the womb gestating, is the heart. And cells from the heart breaks off and becomes the tongue. Being your honest self, communicating, synergy, honesty. Honesty requires not to be in confusion, preferably not with yourself. A lot of people are in internal battles and messes. And what I mean by that is our intuitive guidance is squashed. Our sensitivity isn't often honored as children. And then as we grow into adults, we're a little lost and lopsided with how we feel, what we like, who we are, and the curiosity that guides us. Emotions are powerful and they are precious, all of them. The sharing, caring, and upliftment, all of the ways that you treat people are often a reflection of how you treat yourself inward. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent, but I watched my daughter. She's very, very pretty. And my dad used to tell me, beat you with an ugly stick if I could. And that's what I thought looking at her prettiness, because she developed and she would look older than she was. And I'd see grown men goggle at her and it grossed me out. And her first job was bagging groceries, and she would help people take those groceries to their car. And I had a worry that she would help the wrong person put their groceries in the car, and they'd shove her in the back of a white creepy van. What I did before she could start her first job was take her to a self-defense class, slap, grab, pull. And in that self-defense class, I got asked a fascinatingly interesting question that really started putting things in perspective for me. And he asked, when we're going to use women, although men, I know men that have been abused, and because of their gender, they don't share it, they don't speak it, and they feel ashamed of it. And that's not okay either. But I'm going to use women as an example in this moment. But he asked us, plus it was his question, he asked, when does a woman stop letting somebody abuse her? And some of the people in the class said, well, she lands in the hospital. If he hurts her too bad, if he hurts the kids. These are some of the answers thrown out. And I don't think I said anything. I was too busy mulling over the question because it it was like, when do they? His answer was when the external person abuses them more than they abuse themselves internally. So when that level of ouch, gook, and ick is worse external than internal, that's when she's like, oh, that's not enough. Stop, that's too much. And that, it was years ago, that made me think of how much it's tied to self-esteem. And then I watched dating practices within adults, and I would see how they would disempower. Like, try jealousy tactics and emotional games and manipulation, lie, how speaking, this is how I feel, this is what I think, seems so foreign. I found that odd. There was a person I was interested in long time ago, and we went out to lunch, and I wanted to have this conversation of where are you, how are you, what are you doing, what do you like, what's working for you. And that was too much for him. A direct conversation was. And then I started realizing if people are always on the defense, they don't know how to be honest with what they want, what they like, what they're after. Transparency and clarity have always been important to me. I have a tendency to be honest, and I have worked on not editing the honesty, but learning how to speak with kindness. A large part due to this channel, I'll be talking about sensitive things, and I want to speak about them in a way that doesn't trigger more so than what it needs to do, and helps add insight to different ways of viewing. Soul sister of mine, my earlier video, she's like, I listen and then I have to stop and then I come back and listen again because I'm triggered. And she'll call me directly. I'm like, what are you upset about? Why are you triggered? She goes, because it's just blah, 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 blah. And I'm aware that I can be triggering. And that's okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Nor do I need to be. But honesty, it's important, paramount of importance to be honest with yourself. If you lie to yourself, you can never get yourself out of confusion. And how to be honest, what to be honest, all of that, your external show you put onto reality is between yourself and your own choices and your own behavior. But being honest with yourself, you'll feel good. Happiness is what you say is what you do, and it follows your beliefs, and that's easy to obtain once you get in the pattern flow of it. I had learned more than I wished about hateful behavior, and I had realized how it takes enjoyment out of hurting another. And that I found gross, so gross. I soften it with the awareness that the person, obviously, they hate themselves, not you, not me. You hate yourself. That's why you're creating such a gross karmic soup to stew in day and night with every person you meet. When people are challenged by your affection and defensive by your caring, that's their internal thing to work with. I was listening to someone, and he had a very unfair thing land in his lap. Someone who he had a trust and a belief in did something against what they had agreed to do, lied about it, and she hurt him quite a bit and hurt him in a way that that's never going to be undone. And her reality of life took off a different direction. I was surprised. I care for both those parties. And he was speaking to me how, well, she only wanted me for my money. And I found that really surprising because I know this person and she's not attached to money. And that wasn't at all. I had heard her say a lot of positive Twitter-plated comments, and none of them had to do with money. I wondered if that was his way of helping with the breakup. Obviously lying to himself because he hurt. And needing to point his finger, well, it's because she. At one point, he asked, what do you want from me? And I looked at him, and I was like, accountability and honesty. That's what I want for you. What choices, what behavior did you bring to the table? I don't think I said it that clearly. I did tell him accountability. Be aware of your own choices and behavior. As long as he was creating things that weren't there, he wasn't facing the pain, and then he was saying things, I'll never find another like her. I'm like, that's right, you won't. You never will find another like her. And your behavior led you this direction. Everybody's responsible for their own choices. And I could clearly see how they interacted before became the aftermath of their now. And his reasoning was, well, I was a child. And that child didn't grow. They didn't learn. They didn't speak. They didn't communicate. They didn't deepen what they had. And they didn't tend to the soil. Hearing him create fake reasons of why they had their collapse, I realized he would prolong the pain and he'd hurt longer, and he'd look for versions of her in every place he stepped to next, all while feeling he was right, she was wrong. Every female he comes across is going to have an echo of she's wrong, I'm right. And that, I'm looking at synergy, communication, and honesty. He was lying to himself. That's not for anyone else to explain or dial for him. So, watching people in their dating, mating, dancing, and seeing how what was missing is honesty and clarity. My late husband and I yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I came across a post about, well, who is your Valentine? How did you meet him? And I had written about Michael and I's first couple encounters. And there's this moment, and I'm looking out, I volunteered at a fire department. I was looking out the window, and he came up beside me. He'd dip, and I could see the dip in his mouth and the bulb in his cheek. And I looked over at him. My thought was, that's a pity, because I won't kiss you. Although I didn't say that. He handed the dip and he offered it to me. And I looked at it, and what I did say is, that's a pity. And then our conversation veered off to whatever it was. He worked at a place where he would go to for 2 weeks, and then he'd come back. And he went to that place and then stopped dipping. He quit cold turkey with the intention to ask me for a date when he came back. And I granted that date. I I was impressed with his honesty, his follow through with action. And he became my best friend. I started off as clear as possible. I was letting him know where I was and my way of relating, where I was in my life, where my focus was, why I was doing what I was doing. And he shared very similar. We would talk for hours and I would fall asleep listening to him. Listening to the sound of his voice as I fell asleep really created a closeness between us. And now that he has crossed over, I can still feel and hear him. And that I love. Hold on. Let's see what this is. Usually when a sneeze is coming, I smell roses and then something from the unseen. So I'm going to ask about the sneeze. Kindness. He was kind. One of the first acts he did for me was help me carry groceries and cut potatoes. So as I was reading the post that I made, I think it was 2014 on my Facebook page. I didn't share it with public, but I read it to myself and I share it with my heart. One of the things I've enjoyed is how Facebook turned into a digital scrapbook. And he was my Valentine. The kindness, the compassion, the clarity. There were things that I admire very much about him. And one of the more challenging aspects for him was that I didn't need him. I was not independently wealthy, but I was okay financially and all of my needs were met. I was at a place where I could take care of my points of focus, my children and my schooling. And he didn't know where he fit. His kindness. He taught me to trust and he helped me to put down defenses. I was in other relationships that were loud and yelling and triggering and was constantly trying to challenge. And that didn't flow well for me. In all of our years together, he raised his voice to me once. We would clearly communicate our feelings, our emotions, our intentions. And that created my standards in the now. And I deeply appreciate that. I expect to be treated with kindness, period. And compassion is my nature. I have no interest in people that don't have compassion and empathy. I have a hard time understanding the personality. It's like, I don't get that. Why would you do that? That doesn't help you. That doesn't help others. Why? It's completely boggling to me and unattractive. So being taught hateful behavior and energy of hate, the need to compete. I had someone who was telling the world I wanted to be like her. And this was someone who wished for me to open up and expand my business out of her house. And I told her no. I had just been in a car crash 4 weeks ago, watched half my family die. My focus needs to be elsewhere. I don't remember exactly how I said no, hopefully politely, but it was that it's not, this isn't even a remote realm of reality. I need to take care of what just happened to me. What surprised me is how she was telling people I wanted to be like her. When we admire someone falling in love, Abraham Hicks talks about how falling in love is the closest we get to the divine because we're seeing the best in another and falling towards that. I have met people who their favorite part of love is the falling in love, and then they split again. That night energy, in and out. They fall in love with this one, they fall in love with that one, they fall in love with that one, and that night energy. When I spoke of that gentleman in the past who would always see echoes of someone he loved, he'll see her face in echoes of all of his relationships as he carries his pain with him to relationship, and that will be his reality until he's honest with himself. And that requires being accountable for your own behavior. And I hope he reaches that point. Our admiration, joy, find things that you find joy in, that you admire, curious about. I'm going to make it completely self-centered, although it's way more than this. When you fall in love with someone else, you're also falling in love with versions that they have honed and harnessed of you. You're falling in love with you. When you put someone on a pedestal because you can't reach them, that is I could never be. That is a low self-esteem within you. That person, that one you put on a pedestal, that you're capable of all those things. As long as they're on the pedestal, you have the ability to not work on yourself and idolize another. The admiration, the falling in love is lasting. It doesn't fade, it doesn't die. My late husband, he told me I was like 27 different women. Like every time he came home, there's something new. I learn, I grow, and I work with myself. I challenge myself. I have no interest in being any other person but me. That's it. There's enough right here for my whole existence of reality. That doesn't mean that you lack importance. That means you be you, I'll be me. But he loved that about me. He never got bored. And he enjoyed hearing me blah, blah, blah about the things I was studying and interested in. He was a good friend. And that friendship deepened. I can say, we can give birth, bear a child, marriage or divorce. We are best friends always. And that I'll meet him again. And I am putting the intentions and speaking to higher self. When I meet him again, I want to remember this lifetime of exposure to each other as clear as possible. Our emotions are important, and you must be honest with yourself. Communicate with your higher self. Work with the synergy of the universe. That will send you on tantric journeys. The way that you treat people, that creates your character matrix of self. It's okay to be human. You can only work with what you know, what you've got. The couple that dissolved their relationship I was speaking of in the past, where the wife did something incredibly hurtful that shattered parts of their way of relating, and they could no longer see each other the same. They didn't have clarity with each other, and they didn't honestly speak to each other. nor were they accountable for how they treated each other. And that put fractures in their foundation. They now can politely discuss surface things. So they've reached a way to adult with each other. What I didn't like is the masculine used to tell the feminine, oh, we'll just be like your parents. Her parents, they divorced and became friends. And when I would hear that, I was like, why would you want to reach that level? It would be way better to create a journey together where you always have each other's back. At the fire department, we took care of each other. And even though many, many years ago I walked away from the fire department, and I doubt that I'll ever return, here where I'm currently located is some of the best EMS training. And I have thought about stepping my toes that direction again, but I have a belief system about the body being healthier than we have been taught. And instead of doing Western medicine protocol, I'd probably try and pick up some of Eastern medicine. It would be hard for me to do something that I don't fully believe to be correct, because that's what I'm taught to do. And I don't wish to be in that confusion myself, especially while someone's in a 911. So, as of now, I don't see myself going back to EMS. Although, I have been looking for that sense of community ever since, where you work as a team and co-create and build, enrich, support. In my current now, I'm quite blah blah blahing. In my current now, I am a small drive away from a community center that focuses on communication. Now, well, they focus on many things. Archangel Michael's loud there. And the trees feel so good to put your back up to and meditate. It physically feels good in that space. And the food, it's enriching for the soul. So there's a lot of healing, and I like the people that walk the surface there. I've been impressed, and they communicate and focus on it and learn how each other communicates, and then they're transparent with what moves them, and they encourage inspirational talk within each other and has all listen. And they also talk about sensitive things without shame or guilt. And that was like, I haven't seen adults do that. I've never witnessed that before. That was wow. So they're a short drive away from me. And maybe that will be where I grow and form into. In my current now, I've got a house to fix up and a 13-year-old to focus on, who is incredibly sick right now. Speaking of, I want to pull a card to help the immune system. 2 heart centers, people that are very dear to me, have their immune system challenged right now. I believe when you have an active fever, your immune system is on high alert and immediately burning out the pathogens and creating the algorithms to remember what it was exposed to and always hold that receipt in the DNA. I didn't explain that all that great, but mixing it in with my biohacking days. When you have a fever, you are actively contagious, I believe. And two people I love very much have fevers right now. And some of the people around them are definitely upping their vitamin C and their essential oils and aware that their immune system is in a state of renewal. So a card for the immune system. One card, please. Earth. Give it to Gaia. 24, which is a 6. I'm going to put that right next to 42. Wait, you see the synergy of this. Okay. 14, 41. 24, 42. I have always been dyslexic. I graduated high school a year early, and I had to use colored highlighters to, and I used color to help me see so I wouldn't flip words and numbers. It worked, and I did graduate high school earlier than anticipated, and I did a lot of, I added college, night classes, all sorts of things to my schedule, and I had very little help from the home front to make it happen. And then I realized part of what made me struggle was the dyslexia. And now it actually fits perfect with what I do and how I view things. And I appreciate the way that the numbers have meaning, intent, and quite a bit of emotionality behind them. And depending on what number they're next to, it creates a different meaning. 1 next to a 4, your center of self next to the golden energy, the 4th stage of water. This is how I perceive, how I blah, 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 blah. A 4 next to a 1, it is taking that 4th stage of water, it's like gold. And it is a very divine energy. That is coming first to the vessel of self, 41. And then I can go into the 42s and the 24s and blah, blah, blah. I could go on quite a bit about my perception of and how it works for me and why it continuously always shows up. I had spoke in a previous video about being super excited about something for Valentine's Day and something I did for a dear friend of mine. And then I found out that it arrived right when it meant to, when it meant the most, as it needed to. And that, I felt the universe hold and harness and hug her, and I knew the message from the other side was given in a way she could hear. And that was my intent. I wanted her to feel the hug of her loved ones who had crossed over, and I wanted her to know that physically in reality people were there for her also. So it arrived right when it needed to. And that was beautiful. It's also common to my reality. Everybody is God's child. And all of us are very powerful and sacred. Our low self-esteem, insecurities, unkind behavior patterns, when you see your father beating your mother, when you see your mother hurting your father, inward, you witness that, and part of the trauma program is it becomes normal. Oh yeah, of course, mom's got another black eye. Dad was drinking again. It becomes, yeah, that happens. And then the child will grow up and will become someone who absolutely never drinks, or will become someone who replicates what they saw and smacks other people around. you'll become a pendulum swing of what you normalized. Other people, it doesn't even cross their mind to strike someone. It's that, why would you do that? We all have things that have been normalized that are not. One of the things I will encourage often in this channel is supporting and promoting. When you admire someone, when you care about them, when you appreciate what they're doing, when you see a small business launching, when you see acts of kindness, promote it, duplicate it. Put your energy and your well wishes, at the very least, in your thought process. Yes, universe, show me more. Our nature is kinder than our reality has taught us. And I believe 2012 dropped old karmic patterns, and we have shifted into a whole new everything, and we're all realizing it's here. So, communication, synergy. Tantric journey, earth. Kindness, honesty. Union, empowerment, 8-8. I'll be focusing on 5-5-5, 8-8. Hello, Mercury. Mother, maiden, crone, red. Honesty. I'll be focusing on the cells that take the journey from the heart to the tongue. And I'll also be focusing on blue in the throat chakra, opening and expanding, releasing the muscles through the neck. Okay, let me see. 37. Oh boy. I've been doing lots of blah, blah, blah. All right, put your feet on the floor, speak to Gaia, and give her permission, give her gratitude, thank her. Everything from the clothes that we're wearing to the air that we're breathing has been created by our mother. Your higher self, give your higher self access to settle into your vessel. The more of your higher self that you harness into your consciousness, the stronger you are in your I am presence. I also want to bring to awareness words. When you say I am, I was gonna try and bring an example, because a lot of it has to do with your self-esteem. If you talk to yourself in unkind ways, externally with reality of others, they will treat, they will behave, or you'll put yourself in situations or allow yourself to stay in situations that do that. And that's a no, 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 no. You deserve safety, support, kindness, and there are ways to always obtain that. And the universe provides it constantly, all over. Your I am presence brings that in. I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am wise. Those I will often say. It became a habit years ago. I am love, love am I, the universe and I are one is another one. Your I am. Even if you're saying your age, then add the numbers together and feel the age of that child. I am 44. I am 8 years old. I am 23. I am 5 years old. Your internal child is protected by your divine masculine and your divine feminine. That's energetically your heart center. Your liver is the spiritual general, and it sends energy and chi towards your heart. How you speak to yourself matters. I want to bring awareness to how you talk to yourself. a lot of this talk had to do with honesty of communication. And that is first you, and you. Be honest with your emotionality. Over time, it will be easier to be honest with your actions and your words. Baby steps of that is being honest, at the very least internal. Also, I had a friend of mine talk about awakening among zombies. And I think I identified more than I wished with that. When you are around groups that you could tell that's not going to work, that's not going to work, that's not going to... There's lots of things not working here and everybody's focused on problems. COVID made me think of that quite a bit. When you awaken and realize things are wrong, and you watch people doing things that are wrong and you know that it's wrong, that can be a very isolating feeling. An island unto yourself, all alone, nobody gets you, nobody blah, 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 blah. That kind of energy. We pulled a card to also add to the immune system. I'm going to pull another card randomly from the deck, and I'll be focusing on the left and the right hemisphere of the brain and how it crosses over. But basically, let's get some love to the zombies. Emergence 25. Hello, 7. Okay. Put it next to 24, Earth. I went on a tangent again. Higher self into your vessel. Gaia. Gratitude and permission. Take a deep breath in. The light language will start now. Nia tukamania sashuya data kopoya nania sashuya nania sashuya nania sushukumunaya taria sushusumia data sakutrina moya daya. Nia sashuya tarakopaya taria sataria konia sashasuya daya katakoya nane. Nia sashuya to sutria sataria sashuya nana. Nia turapuya taria sataria sakuka moya taria shusute taria sataria komunaya tasatukushmiya daya nania daya. Focusing on the throat. Kwana monia sashwea taria sataria sukupoya nania sashwea taia moya taia ria sataria takumaniata. Kuya sasha sataria satoria poya nania sasha sutaria sata. From the heart to the tongue. Kwanamana sasha saya taria satukumuna taria sataria satukumunia sasha sataria nane. Nia suya taria sukuisha samanoya sashia taina moya sana yatu. Wea moya taria sasha moya taia. Kuya nana ya sashuya taria numia sesha sataria taria. Nia taria sushu sutaria satukuina maniasa. Kuya sasha sataria sukuisha moya taria sataria satukushkaya taria takuria tia sataria shushu niete. Nia sasha se koya maya sasha sataria satuisha moya taria tia sakoya nataya. And release. It's been a long time since I had studied or had my focus of interest in TCM. I was having a strong, sharp something in this finger. I'm going to pull a card about that. That was interesting. And then later I'm going to look up and see how it's connected to TCM. Heart. Okay, 4. I'm going to put that right next to Earth, Tantric Journey, and I will light a candle. And then pull a random card. In reference to the light language. Oh, I twisted the deck. There we go. In reference to the light language we all shared. Hi. That's a wonderful card after Valentine's Day. Protective. The frequency of divine masculine supports our strong, focused, and active side, allowing us to express itself while helping us bring our dreams and ideas into form with kindness and wisdom. Take care. Be well. When I get back to this, I will put a timestamp into when the light language starts. There is a lot of yada 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 chat added to this. Or if someone else, when they view it, feel free to do so if I haven't done so already. Take care, be kind,